All right, here we are post-garlanding. We started with red, transitioned over to the red and green, then more red, and then finally the red and green. And what we're gonna do now is fill all the areas in between and below with ornaments. And we've got lots of balls. Lots and lots of balls. How about I start with the green and you start with the reddish ones? Sounds good?
How about I start putting hooks on all these new ornaments?
On the new ones, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna start putting on these green ones. All right. Well, what a year this year has been, huh?
Mm-hmm.
What a whirlwind of change, of action, of geez. Lots of positivity, lots of uncertainty, right? Lots of risk, but a lot of reward, I think. Let's just talk a little bit about how different 2014 was than most years that, you know, that I've been doing stuff in my life and in regards to YouTube and Twitch streaming and, you know, everything. I mean, previously, it would be more about, gee, what conventions am I going to this year? Or what events am I going to travel to with my friends and possibly attend and do videos for YouTube about, you know what I mean? And this year I kind of took a step back and I said, you know what? I realized that it's time to maybe stop worrying about everything has to be for fun and games for YouTube. And maybe it's time for me to think about doing stuff a little bit more mature and a little bit more of an advancement of my life. You know, just until I was actually able to make a living doing YouTube stuff, I never really was in a position where I could even say, wow, I have a chance that I can move out of Connecticut and I can maybe move in with my girlfriend and I can do things like get a nice house. I never imagined, you know, it never was a thought in my head because I was, you know, my life struggling. I was struggling to find consistent work that paid decent, to find somewhere where my talents and or my personality were something that someone found value in. You know, I held many different jobs over the course of my life. Started out with fast food for many years when I was in high school and even into college, and then moving into selling electronics at retail, financial stuff with loans and mortgages that I did for a while. And then moving back into the retail realm, selling higher level networking stuff, and then finally for like 4 or 5 years having an office job as a customer service rep who ended up basically going above and beyond his job description to the point where I was trained to redo their entire repairs process with continuous improvement to the point where at one point the company was literally talking about making me management. And then, you know, all this time when I was doing that, able to move out of my parents' house and finally have a condo in Connecticut of my own for the first time. And I was like, wow, you know, really moving. Even though it was funny because you would think, oh, he's got this job and, you know, it's a decent paying desk job. And, you know, he's moving up in the world and he's being more mature. For me, I never thought of it like that. I thought of it as, man, I'm doing these silly videos on the internet, playing games, messing around. And yeah, you know, I got my own place, but this is more of a starter place. This isn't a place that I would want to stay in, you know, for any extended period of time. And it wasn't until, you know, I got laid off and started doing stuff for YouTube and being really truly independent and making my own money for myself that I said, gee, maybe at some point in my life I would like to advance and do something nicer with my life, you know, seriously have a relationship with someone. Move out of a crappy little bachelor pad and move on to a better place. And that's really this year, the year of 2014, ended up being a year where that was my focus, where it wasn't about, oh, it's just about playing games now, and it's just about having fun and making videos anymore. It was like, I still want to do that, and I still want to make money doing that, but I kind of have to take a step back from doing that because I want to focus on improving my life situation. And so, you know, it was funny, early in the year, people, Phil, what conventions are you going to this year? Where are you going on vacation and where are you doing this and that? And basically my answer was, I'm not doing any of that. I'm really not planning on doing any of the stuff that, you know, fun and games stuff that I used to do. consistently because at this point I want to focus more on serious business. I want to get out of Connecticut. Connecticut's too expensive, especially for someone who's self-employed like me. The insane amount of taxes that I was paying just to be in Connecticut with no real benefits besides living right next to my parents. And being an independently contracted person who basically owns their own business, the insane amount of taxes that Connecticut charges you, and actually makes it difficult for a small business to thrive and succeed. I actually paid more taxes in Connecticut between the federal government and the state government than I did before when I was working for that office job. And it was just money that I could have been investing back into what I was doing for YouTube or back into my own life that I was literally pissing away just for the sake of living in Connecticut. And at first it wasn't that big of a concern, but after doing it for several years, I started in 2010, and then I moved on from AdSense to Blip TV, and then subsequently over to Machinima as a Machinima partner. I did that since 2011, 2012, and 2013, and come 2014, I said, that's it. It's time now to be serious. It looks like, consistently, this is going to at least work as a source of income for the near future, at least a few more years. I don't know how long infinitely this kind of a thing will work, right? But at least for a few more years, it looks like it's going to work as a source of income. And rather than me sit on my ass and worry and say, no, I'm going to be, I have people in my life who their whole lives, they didn't take chances. Their whole lives, it was more about doing the safe thing, doing the easy thing. They never would have fathomed doing YouTube as a job. They would have said, oh, it's a nice hobby, but that's not consistent. That's a big risk. And it is. Don't get me wrong. It is. Every time that I spend money on anything, I got to kind of think, gee, what if YouTube goes away tomorrow? But at the same time, I can't just sit around and be some kind of a worrywart, right? And say, well, just because something might happen doesn't mean it will. And as long as it's not happening, I should do stuff with my life. And so 2014 became the year of me basically saying, okay, this looks consistent, at least decently consistent enough that I think it's time for me to consider getting out of Connecticut, moving on to somewhere else, living with Leanna full time, which, previously what a tough relationship it was, honestly, not being able to see each other at such extended periods of time.
It was very difficult sometimes.
Whenever we wanted to see each other, she had to sit on a train for 3 hours each way, or fly, or different things. It was difficult. How do you, as an adult, have a meaningful relationship when you can only see each other for one long weekend a month, if that?
It's hard. It was a lot of work on both our ends to make it a viable option.
And so for me, it became an opportunity to say, well, you know what? Let's change that. Let's, instead of focusing and say, oh, we're gonna fly to this place to go on a vacation this year, and we're gonna spend this much money doing this on YouTube projects. I said, you know what? Instead, let's just focus on moving. And it was interesting because we'd been talking about it for, a while. But
I think after about a year together, we started thinking about it.
It wasn't until this year that really we started, we were like, okay, we're going to see how consistent things are. We're going to see how consistent things are. And one major factor, and a lot of people may not know this, one major factor that kind of always held us back was that at the end of 2012, out of nowhere, I was blindsided by Machinima when Machinima contacted me after, doing the YouTube thing for 2 years. And we said, Phil, earlier in the year we gave you a raise. And it was nice for everyone, but we screwed up. We were paying everyone too much money. Ad revenue on YouTube has plummeted. And at this point, we can't afford to continue paying you what we're paying you. We have to give you a pay cut. And I was like, damn, that's fucked up, because I have a contract. And they're like, yeah, but it's basically a contract that in the clauses it says we could change it at any time, So it's not a consistent thing. It could go away immediately. So it was kind of like, well, I either accept this pay cut or I take my chances going elsewhere, trying to find someone else who wants to contract me to do what I do. And I know that I made the right decision staying with Machinima, because from what I've seen, I'll be honest with everyone, last year at the end of 2013, I was very nervous that I was going to end up leaving Machinima, because I thought if they want to give me another pay cut, I can't do that, there's competition now for machinima. There's lots of companies out there that are doing this partnership deal, and they're not, you know, they're headhunting. I had companies contacting me daily at the end of last year saying, we're interested, we heard that you may be leaving machinima, we're interested, we'll give you a signing bonus, right? We definitely want you. And I was like, well, this is interesting. But then come to find out, when you actually read all these contracts of what people are offering people to do, you know, gameplay videos and such, the pay is way less than what I make. The pay, I ended up getting into one of those earlier contracts when, you know, gamers were just starting to be able to do gameplay videos and monetize them on YouTube, and my contract ended up paying out a lot more than what these people are making. Most people who are doing these gameplay videos, it's based off of ad revenue on their videos. So let's say, for example, your videos for this month make $7,000 of ad revenue. Well, you get 60% of that, and the company gets 40%. So you get 60% of $7,000, right? And if you think about it, that's what, $3-4 grand? $3-4 grand a month to do gameplay videos? That's pretty fucking good, you know? But is it your fault if ad revenue plummets one month? What if all of a sudden one month YouTube couldn't get the big ads, right? And because YouTube couldn't get the big ads, now you take a pay cut because YouTube didn't do their job well, right? And it's like, it's inconsistent. It's not right. It actually punishes the content creator rather than based off on what interesting content they're putting out. It punishes you based off of some ad department that didn't do a good job. And from what I've seen, looking at what people were making on ads, because I did look at some averages, I did ask these companies who were trying to headhunt me at the end of 2013. I said, what kind of money are you guys pulling in? They told me, and I was like, you guys apparently don't know what's out there, because I'm making more money with machinima doing what I'm doing than what you're offering. Even though you're offering me a signing bonus and all this, no, you're actually making me a poor offer based off of ad revenue performance rather than based off of what I'm doing. I think a lot of them were surprised with the contract that I have with machinima. Of course, I can't disclose any specifics. The only thing I can tell you guys is based off of views. I get a certain amount of views on videos. I get paid per that amount of views. And based off of that, I'm able to make a living. It's not about fluctuating ad revenue, okay? So at the end of 2013, I contacted machinima and I said, listen guys, you know, last year you guys renegotiated my contract. And a lot of people left machinima, or left being partnered with machinima because of the pay cut you gave everyone. I need to know, are you looking at it again? And at that point, they crunched the numbers and they looked and they said, actually, based off of your channel's performance, no, you're good. There's no impending changes coming. And in fact, based off of your numbers, you're in no risk whatsoever right now. There are many people, you know, who are doing, you know, way worse than me when it comes to ad revenue and red flags and such, that they said that, you know, those would be the people, and I was not in line for any kind of a contract renegotiation or any problems. And so at the end of 2013, when they told me that, I was like, okay, well, then I think it's time for me to seriously consider making a big move. Getting out of Connecticut now, while the getting's good, before taxes go up again, right? Go to a state where there's no state income tax, so immediately there's massive savings in my pocket, money that I was pissing away when I lived in Connecticut for literally no benefit, besides living near my parents, and you know, and my friends and relatives that were in that area. And I made that my priority this year. Enough with conventions, enough with gaming stuff, enough with, you know, if you think about 2013, what did I do in 2013? We went to a convention, we went to WrestleMania, I went to SGC, you know, all gaming and leisure type stuff. This year, what did I do? I came to Seattle to see what it was like here. I liked it to the point where I said I want to live here. I came out here and looked at houses. We came out here and looked at houses. We found a house that we liked. We made an offer. We moved out here, and that's it. We didn't spend any money on travel. We didn't go to any conventions because our focus was primarily on getting a nice place. And thank God we did it, right? It was incredibly fortunate, incredibly lucky. Ooh, right here's a perfect spot for one of those, right over here, because we have the other two on the other side. Mm-hmm. We were incredibly lucky to be able to do it as fast as we did, to be able to successfully go through with it. A lot of people unfortunately can't find their house, the house that they want right away. Not to say this is the perfect dream house. There's a lot of things we'd love to improve, but we did pretty damn well for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. For a first house, yes, we did.
There was a lot of things that we could have avoided. You know, there could have been massive problems. We could have ended up not getting the loan. There was tons and tons of things that could have been issues that could have held up everything, and we lucked out to the point where we were able to, within a few months period, you know, we came out here in April, right? Found a house that we liked. By May, we'd already made the offer. June, we'd already closed. Can't find a place for this one. Here we go, move right here. And, no, it's still too close. Right here, there we go. And by July or June, July, we were out here. I'm sorry, we actually closed in May. Mm-hmm. And by June, we were living here. It's surreal. We've been living here since June. It's now almost December. I mean, it sure doesn't feel like that to me, right? Feels like we just moved in. We're still getting used to a lot of stuff. You know, just recently, a couple weeks ago, we turned on the heat for the first time.
It snowed today for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like major East Coast snow, though.
It was a nice
little baby dusting on only the grass.
So what a different year 2014 was. Instead of me focusing on YouTube and new series and that kind of projects, it was more about let's move. Once we're moved, let's get all my equipment set up and working here in Washington. Since I'm here in Washington, let's upgrade the equipment to have a better PC, better quality videos, 1080p quality, 60 frames per second quality now that YouTube supports it. Let's do live streaming at the absolute best quality. And at the same time, the best accessibility for everyone. And ultimately, I think I succeeded at that. You know, and there were lots of roadblocks along the way. There were lots of bumps, issues with my internet, issues with people who weren't very accepting of change, even though ultimately it is my business, it is my product, it is my videos, it is my gameplay. And if I choose to make a change, you just have to get used to it, whether you like it or not. You know, change happens, and change happens for the better most of the time. And I think a lot of people had issues with, oh my God, Phil's leaving Connecticut. He's leaving behind these people who've been in his videos for years, and he's leaving his family and his parents, and you know, he's leaving his old setup and going to a different setup, and is it going to be as good or do we not like it? Oh my God, he's leaving Twitch to do his own thing because he thinks it's the best for his business, and he's, you know, changing the way that he's doing things. And a lot of people fear that, and I understand that, but at the same time in life you have to take these chances.
You can't be stagnant in business.
You know, I could have very much still been doing videos on my YouTube channel with a camcorder or a digital camera. No live streaming. The videos we would have this next generation of consoles, ps4, Xbox One. The games would have looked horrible. The colors would have been all off. It would have been all blurry, no streaming, and all I would have got was complaints that I was doing it wrong. I'm a dinosaur, right? So it's funny because every time I make a change, you're going to have people who support it and people who disagree with it. Ultimately, I got to do what I feel is best for my business, and I think that moving out of Connecticut, going to Washington, saving money on taxes, paying lesser prices overall. Eventually, as I hope I can dump that condo in Connecticut. I can't do it right now. My aunt is living in it, which is nice that I was able to do something positive with it, even though it was a big negative that I was stuck with it, right? But, you know, ultimately, positive things are coming. Eventually, I'll sell it. I'll be saving money living here. And even though I did rack up a bunch of bills when it came to, you know, furnishing this house with all the nice things that it has in it right now, ultimately over the next few years as I pay those bills down and pay them off, I think it's going to be worth it. You know, and you know, there's always going to be, like I said, there's always going to be people who don't understand that, people who don't disagree. Oh my God, there's change. I hate it. I don't like it. I'm afraid. I'm nervous. Why is he doing this? And it's funny because it's funny when you look at the people who react like that and it's like, well, were you watching me? Were you following me and myself and my content because you enjoyed my content and you enjoyed me as a person? Because that's what the whole point of it is. It's a fun guy who just is kind of playing games. He's not a pro or anything, but he's having fun with games and he rages at games and it's funny content and entertaining gameplay. Were you watching it for that? Were you watching it because you wanted to go on forums every day and talk to these certain people and you wanted to go on stream chat and chat it up? That's a part of it. That's not the ultimate point of the content, though. The point is, are you enjoying the content? Are you there, or are you, oh, I don't even watch Phil's content anymore, but I'll go on his website every day and freeload and, you know, jump on his stream chat and get all buddy-buddy with everyone, and then, oh my God, he was going to leave Twitch? Well, fuck Phil, he doesn't care about the fans. No, you didn't care about me or my content or my business. Ultimately, I do these changes because they're positive, because I know they're going to come out in the end as the right decisions. But, you know, a lot of people are so afraid of change that ultimately they lose the whole point of the whole thing. This whole year was a huge transitional change for me. Moving out of Connecticut, moving in with Leanna, and doing all this stuff. It was an uncertain year, but here we are. We're in the holiday season now. We're setting up this gorgeous Christmas tree in a beautiful house. You know,
just the two of us and the hamsters.
Can pay all the bills. You know, my parents are coming to visit next month for Christmas. The equipment's working daily. I'm able to do my gameplay. That's my living. So I'm having fun in that regard. You know, I'm living the life. I'm still living the life. It's a different kind of life than when I started. Absolutely. When I started this in 2008, never did I think that my hobby was going to turn into my living. But look, here I am in 2014, and I'm still doing it. It's wild. It's out of control. It's surreal. It's still, to this day, after 6 years, I still wake up in the morning and I say, holy shit, I'm about to go play video games all day and have fun, and people are going to watch and enjoy and follow and spread the word, and you know, and I get messages every day about, Phil, your gameplay is, you know, so entertaining, and understand that, you know, there are days when I feel terrible and I just turn on your stuff and it makes me feel great, and that's what keeps me going, and the fact that I still make money doing it. It's wild. You know? And there's a lot of people also, I'll say this, there's people who say, oh, but Phil, don't you're so naive, didn't you see that there's a decline, that not only you, all Let's Players, there's a decline, they're not making as big money as they did anymore, and, you know, look at your videos don't get nearly as many views as they used to be, and ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. I say, now wait a minute, I'm still making money, I was still able to come out here this year and do this, I'm in no financial jeopardy by any means. So what are you talking about? Yeah, I'm not making crazy big money. No, I'm not some insanely top tier YouTuber. I don't care. I never cared about that. If I cared about that, day one, I would have been running 47 ads on my videos. I would have been promoting products and t-shirts and all kinds of shit. I would have been shoving it down your throat every video. I would have said, you know, hey guys, if you like my video, subscribe and spread the word and like it and do this. When do I ever do that shit? Seriously. I was the guy who just makes the videos because I want to play the games and make the videos, you know? Of course there's a decline. There's so many people now that have found YouTube as an avenue to share their own personalities and themselves as a way to make money. Of course, there's so many people to watch now. Of course the viewership has splintered. And of course the viewership is going to go towards the lowest common denominator. On everything on the world, it always happens. You know, am I saying I'm the biggest, most intellectual gamer on the planet? Absolutely not. But, you know, the morals that I pride myself on, and, you know, I'm going to do things the way I want to do them, and as long as I'm able to make a living doing it, so be it. And people who disagree with it, people who will hate on me, whatever. I'm having fun doing what I'm doing. All right, take a quick break here to rest my voice. We'll come back, continue to decorate the tree. And I want to talk about a lot of positives, a lot of great positives that have come in the past, you know, things that we were actually very worried about that ended up being positive outcome this year. Because we're in the festive spirit, we're feeling very positive about everything, and we want to focus on that. So we will be right back.